I didn't really give myself time to fully think too hard about what I was about to do. I just packed 2 bags, got a one-way ticket, and held my breath. I
That's the
think,
definition of wandering, by the way. One-way
and
ticket, 2 bags, hold your breath. Let's go. Well, hey, good day, fellow wanderers. Joseph here, and we are on episode 6. Episode 6 of Fellow Wanderers. And I'm with my friend Janelle Ibaven. I say it, Ibaven.
Ibaven, it's cool.
Ibaven.
Sure.
Ibaven.
Yes.
Ibaven.
Ibaven. Yep.
E. It's obviously French. We got to use our French vernacular here, and I'm, as always, with our hosting this show, I try to really bring myself to the person that is with me, especially in my language, because I'm from northern Wisconsin, and we are multilingualish people up here. And so we're on episode 6 with my friend Janelle, who's from the East Coast via the West Coast via amazing. And I got to meet Janelle out in Washington when we lived out there, and now she is in the beautiful town of Boston. She's a Bostonian, and if you follow her on Insta, you will see that she loves the town of Boston. We'll get to Boston in a little bit, but Janelle, what are you doing in Boston currently right now? As we just kick off with my friend Janelle on Fellow Wanderers, episode 6. How does it feel to be on episode 6, by the way?
Feels great.
I mean, this thing is going worldwide.
It really is.
Yeah.
I just told you when we jumped on the call, I'm learning so much. I was taking ferocious notes from your already 5 episodes.
So, I don't remember my question. What brought you to Boston?
Yeah. Actually, assignment brought me to Boston. So I am a chaplain. I currently serve as the Foursquare chaplain at Harvard University.
Harvard?
Harvard.
That's how you say that, by the way. I don't know. Do people say it Harvard there?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why people get their languages so messed up around the world, but
I know. I
whatever.
mean, we really do need to spend time in Wisconsin for a little bit to get
know.
our
Especially
vocabulary
close to
straight.
the Upper Peninsula.
But it is interesting because they call it the H-bomb, because usually when someone, drops Harvard, it's kind of like your name dropping.
Story. Yeah.
And then you just kind of end a conversation because he's going to top Harvard. So usually the students will say that school in Cambridge.
Michigan Tech.
When people...
I don't know. What else can beat them?
Right? So, but usually when people say that, they just go, oh yeah, okay, moving on. But yes, that school in Cambridge brought me over to the East Coast for the first time. This is the first time I've ever lived on the East Coast.
Oh, sorry, go.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, you go.
And it's been great.
There we go. Thank you for finishing that comment. Awkward Zoom moments. So you grew up on the West Coast.
Originally from Pasadena, California. So spent a lot of formative years there. And then moved moved kind of more out east a little bit to a city called Glendora.
Okay, friends, fellow wanderers, if anybody from California ever says I was in Pasadena and then I moved out east, never let your brain think anywhere, east of any mountain. So you don't even think Colorado. Don't think Nevada. Don't think Utah. When they say east, they're in such a bubble out there on the West Coast that when they say east, they mean they move like 30 miles outside of the city.
That is correct.
Which in traffic time, though, is like 5 hours. So it's
5 hours.
Kind of east to them. So they don't get out. So I'm just there to translate for you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Yeah, so moved down the 210 freeway about 30 minutes. And then I stayed there until I graduated from undergrad. And then I moved to Washington, and I moved to a little town on an island called Oak Harbor, Washington. And it's a Navy community, and it was one of the best 10 decade of my life. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah. Oak Harbor. So we talked a little bit about Bellingham in episode 5. You don't know that because it's not out yet. Spoiler alert.
Ooh, can't wait.
Episode 5, my guest in episode 5, when asked where they would love to live someday,
Really?
they said Bellingham, Washington. Spoiler alert. Talk to me about the islands out there in the Puget Sound. And Oak Harbor, again, is a smaller town, smaller community around there. What kind of stuff is there that people would love to do or see, or what made you like it?
I think just the juxtaposition of coming from a city like Los Angeles area to a place that had a Walmart, and I don't even think they had a Home Depot yet. I think they were building it when I arrived. Everyone knew each other. It's this kind of, we talk about a fishbowl in LA, which is true, but there is also one, living on an island, and I was just so enamored by this small town where my boss would walk into like any coffee shop or supermarket, and he'd know people. Yeah. And in LA, if you ran into someone that you knew, that was like a big deal. And so that just captured my heart, and I'm like, I want people to know me here. So
you got to go, and I think it's appropriate to say you got to go, or you got to head out east and experience something completely different than what LA or Oak Harbor, and you got to go to Boston. Talk to me about that experience as you are a fully eligible woman that not. Are you connected with anybody? Can I hook you up on this video cast?
Yeah, let's, small town wanderers. Let's expand to, Christian mingle.
Okay, so Janelle is not currently with anyone, and so you went out there as a single lady to go across country and experience something that's a completely different culture. What was that like from just a emotional state, and to do that?
I think, emotionally, I didn't really give myself time to fully think too hard about what I was about to do. I just packed 2 bags, got a one-way ticket, and held my breath.
That's the definition of wandering, by the way.
It really is.
One-way ticket, 2 bags, hold your breath. Let's go.
Hold your breath. And something that's so interesting about Boston is that it's not, geographically a huge city. And so I did one trip as kind of like a recon trip, go out there, see things, what's your feel? How do you feel in the city? And something that was like 2 miles away from something else, which in my mind, thinking Los Angeles, West Coast is not far away, but that is 2 completely different cities, which could take you up to like an hour and a half to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And so I did just kind of jump in, because I'm like, I just got an apartment off of this website, this church website. I don't know. I know it's like 0.9 miles away from Harvard.
Should we trust church websites?
It was better than the Craigslist ones I was going to, because that was a little sketchy. So in that way I was like, well, we're just going to figure it out. And I didn't bring a car out here, because I'm going to tell you, and for those of you, especially you live in Wisconsin, I'm scared to death to drive in snow.
Yeah.
And I'm scared to death of snow. I know.
Okay. Have you gotten over that fear?
Yes. I feel like I'm becoming more confident to even thinking about wrapping my head around navigating a vehicle in snow. Okay. And I've been here for 3 years. So that's where we're at.
It's good. It's moving forward.
Yes, we're growing. We're evolving here. But the day after I arrived, I experienced my first blizzard of my life, and
Hmm?
it
What,
was just
did
kind
you
of
put Rocky Road in it, or did you cookies and Oreos?
Oreos. Duh.
The Oreos.
Yeah.
Did they give it to you upside down when you experienced that first blizzard of your life?
I felt like it was upside down.
Okay.
And I had never been so cold in my life.
Was it like 25 degrees?
Um,
It might as well have been 40 below for all you knew.
it might as well have been. I mean, maybe two. I didn't have any furniture in my room. I mean,
Yeah.
I arrived here and I was sleeping in my roommates, bless their heart, like had a
Hmm.
blow up mattress and like some covers. But I wish I would have had like a camera on me
Yeah.
the first time I walked in, like after the blizzard. They clear the roads and there's kind of like these like mini snowdrifts, and I
Yeah.
have to walk to a meeting. And I don't even have snowshoes because I did not even know what snowshoes were.
Yeah.
Like, what are bean boots? I have no clue. So I have these like hunter boots on, like rain boots, and
Hmm.
I might as well just be on a skateboard, like trying to walk to my first chaplaincy
Just
meeting
lean
in
over
Harvard.
there to the.
And you know what? And this is so Boston. People are just like, they don't care. They
Yeah.
just whiz right by you. They're on their way to the tee, and you're a roadkill.
Yeah.
So it's great.
So you're at Harvard right now, and you're hooping it up. I don't know if you noticed, I wear my college get up here, which is what I wear pretty much every day. But I'm gonna call it my college get up. I'm wearing my pink T-shirt, which is a little metrosexual, and my hoodie and my wannabe Carhartt hat with my clear glasses today. I thought this is nothing. Nothing says college like this.
Boy, you were just up all night writing a research paper.
And so, what's it like to be in that spot of colleges and education? And there's a ton of schools there in Boston in that area, that corridor. What's that like, given again your West Coast experience and now the East Coast of just seeing something completely different?
It's bananas. I mean, and that's the college elite word that I use for that experience. But a mile down the road is MIT, and then the other mile, the opposite direction, is Tufts University.
Uh-huh.
We have Lesley College. We have Boston University. I mean, we have Berkeley School of Music, which is one of the largest music schools in the world.
So lots
Absolutely.
of colleges, mucho
Thank you.
colleges.
Thank you for allowing me to plug shamelessly uh,
Yes.
these institutions that are hurting. But I mean, at MIT, they split the atom. What's interesting too about Harvard specifically is that you will not see like the name Harvard anywhere. Like, all you
You
see
just
is,
know.
no, you just see like their crest, which is
Oh.
the Veritas, which means truth. Yeah. So they're
Thank you for
even
translating that.
You're welcome.
Veritas equals truth. We will spell that out probably on the screen right now. Put it
I
there
can't
at
wait
the
to see what you do
bottom.
with that.
Just kind of just put it down there. What is it like to be on the East Coast now? Again, this isn't the old world Europe, but it's the old world America. And so we haven't, we want to go out and see things. And I've never been up to Boston, so I just can visualize what I've never been there. Check that, Janelle. I lied to you. I actually was in Boston for 12 hours, maybe 20 hours. I got in very late to a indescript hotel. I went to my room and I had to wake up the next morning to go to another person's hotel room, which was kind of the big hotel room, and I won't mention any names or why I was there. Sat around a table with these people that were like 30 years older than me. I was like, why am I here at this table? Why are we talking about this thing that's very important? And we had a meeting and we left. I got back on a plane and went back. I never once stepped out of the thing. I never saw anything in Boston besides this hotel room, and I could not even tell you what hotel I was in.
That
I was
is hilarious.
Boston.
But you kind of described like what you just described is kind of like the underbelly of Boston, because that's how it became Boston. Like
Yeah.
it was these secret meetings in churches about the revolution.
That was me.
That was you.
That's what we were doing.
So welcome to the Boston experience. Like you can't get more Boston than that, other than a lobster roll. You know, you don't have to talk about your CIA life here.
So what? Okay, back to the question. What was it? What is it like to experience some of that old world charm in the midst of a bigger city when you got there? Was that kind of a I'm going to use the word you used earlier, a juxtapose of thought and mind in your head?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the first on Commonwealth Avenue, which is Beacon Hill, like it's one of the first neighborhoods that were ever built in Boston. And it literally looks, I mean, and it's built to be identical to a street in Paris. So you have your cobblestone, you have these like very chic looking walk-ups with flower beds. I mean, and all this, I will say, in the wintertime does not look nearly as romantic or fun as it does at this point right now. It reminds me so much of Europe. It reminds me of going to Brussels and walking the streets there. It's just amazing how much the influence really of England was carbon copied over here. I mean, and this is kind of where it all started, for better, for worse.
Brussels, where are you in Brussels?
I was over by the NATO base in Brussels. Stayed with a do you remember Roanna Kennedy?
No, but you just talked to me about my CIA work and then you dropped NATO.
Got it. This call could be monitored. Anyway,
I'm paying for this Zoom so they can't. It's encrypted, so nobody can see what's happening.
Well, we all know how great Zoom is at encryption.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, I was in Brussels visiting a friend who was stationed there with a friend of mine who was in the military. So she was kind of on her way out of the military, getting out and going to school, and we decided to go to Europe for 2 weeks. So we landed in Brussels. That was kind of our home base. And from there we went to Antwerp, and then went to Rome. Then we took a 2-day trip to Paris, and did like a real quick, whirlwind tour of Paris.
Because you at least have to have 3 days to see everything in Paris.
It was, I mean, it was a little overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
It was like, oh my gosh. But it was beautiful, and the people were great.
Isn't it fun when you go into those cities like that? They're so much bigger than those little maps that have like all the little pictures on them with the towers. They're like, oh, I can go from this church to this church. Oh, it's only a few blocks. Did you go to the Louvre?
Yes.
Did you get lost trying to find Mona?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I saw Mona, I have to admit, I was a little bit underwhelmed.
The best part about the Mona Lisa room is the picture that isn't behind you.
Correct.
Yes. Everybody's looking at this little thing way up there, and then you turn around and go, there is a 50 by 50 painting. And that's not 50 inches. It's like 50 feet. This thing's huge.
A wall.
Behind you, and you're like, that's a canvas on the wall. And you're like, no, what? I'm like wanting to yell in there, hey, everybody, look, turn around. You don't see it. Did you find yourself getting into Napoleon's apartment when you were there?
I didn't.
Well, so we got lost trying to find Mona, and we were in one wing. We thought we had to get to the other side of the little corridor, and it's like we kept getting over there, and there was like a block because they were doing some construction. We kept going around. We're like, it's on the other side of the courtyard, and like we looked at the map, and the guy in the map goes, no, that's this little dot right here. You keep going back and forth. This is this huge courtyard. You got to get all the way over there. And so we were up there, and we stumbled into Napoleon's apartment.
How was that?
It was amazing because I was walking through, and I think it was in like his third or fourth room, and the guy was sitting there, just sitting there, kind of security guard guy. And I go, is this a replica of Napoleon? What did I find here? I didn't know where I was. I go, is this like a replica of his house? And the guy goes to me and goes, no, this whole place was his house, meaning the whole Louvre.
That sounds. I need to go now. Now I want to go back just to see that.
Yeah. Actually, that was the best part about the whole thing. And we're hot and sweaty because we're lost. Okay, so you've been to Europe for a couple weeks. You ever been back to Europe or anywhere else outside of the United States?
Let's see. I've been to Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
That was
That's
lovely.
actually my hometown. I don't know if you know that. I vacation
Really,
in northern Wisconsin. My home is in Cancun.
it's a great place to call home.
Yes, isn't the progress of every life is to get back home, right? So that's what I
Right.
want. I want to get back
So
home.
you're wondering to go
Yes.
back
Yeah, I want to go back
to
home.
the beach. The beaches were fantastic. Tulum, Chichen Itza,
Did you
fantastic.
actually see the ruins? Talk to us about that because I've been down there a lot and I've never been there.
Uh, it is like the trip down there was great because you see a lot of there's a lot of Mexican Indians there that you get to like interact with, and a lot of them actually looked like my ancestors, like my
Hmm.
my grandfather. And so my mom and I were just geeking out on that and like talking with people. So you go in and you kind of hike, and then everything, I mean, it is kind of like a movie, like everything kind of disperses, and then, people are climbing it, and it looks easy from
Hmm.
the bottom. Once you start climbing, you're like, oh, I've overcommitted.
Yeah,
And if you're afraid of heights, just be an Instagram, influencer from the bottom. Don't try to go up. But just the way that it like is breathtaking. It's
yeah.
breathtaking. Yeah. And then we drove to the beach and went on some sea-doos for an afternoon and got one of the worst sunburns of my life and came back home.
Science fact for you: the sun is closer to you at the equator, therefore you get burnt way quicker.
Thank you.
Share
Thank you.
that with your Harvard friends.
Retweet.
Okay, so Europe a little bit, Mexico. Anywhere else you've been wandering around?
Well, right now I am wandering around the Northeast. I want to take you and Christy to Burlington, Vermont.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you have Lake Champlain, right there, which
We
freezes in the
prefer a
winter.
Merlot. We prefer Merlot.
Okay, well, they got that too. They
Okay.
have great breweries. I mean, if you partake in such, they have it. It's a city. I mean, but it's also just it's beautiful. I mean, I can't. I mean, it's kind of does remind me a little bit of Bellingham,
Yeah.
actually. Great food. There's some great universities there, so you have this
Oh, just plug some more universities while you're at it.
University of Vermont, go Catamounts. You got Lake Champlain College. It's it's cool. Yeah, so it's a 3.5 hour drive from Boston, and you can stop it through New Hampshire, which has some great antiquing, and also you are about a 20-minute drive from Plattsburgh, New York, which is upstate, and about another maybe like 35 minutes from Montreal. So you can just hop right over the border
Oui, oui.
and go into Canada, French Canada.
Oui, oui.
They'll know how to pronounce my last name.
Yeah. Yeah, they will. What's your favorite city in the United States?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me this question. Anacortes, Washington.
That's your favorite city in the whole United States. That's a small town.
It is. I really like it. I love it, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right on the water with your sailboats outside, ready to go over to the islands, ready to cruise your world. You're just a stone's throw away from being out on the ocean and having a trip over to Japan.
I
right?
totally thought you were going to say something else other than stone's throw, but yes,
Okay, I don't know any other vernacular to say, but
that
maybe.
would be Bellingham. I was going to say,
Oh,
you're going to have to edit that part out. But I will also say too that, um, you know, um, I love Cambridge.
mm-hmm.
Cambridge, Cambridge is the best of both worlds here in Boston. I mean, you go into Boston and it's pretty much like, you're a very New Englandy city,
Mm-hmm.
but you come to Cambridge and it's so diverse. And I mean, mostly because of the institutions that are here, but you walk around and you're not hearing English. You're hearing Arabic and Farsi and Mandarin, and I love that. I mean, and I can just walk the city till my feet fall off.
How
So
how far? Okay, I've always thought Cambridge was in Boston. So is it kind of connected but not, or is it?
no, so we're across the river.
Okay.
So what divides us from Boston is the Charles River, um, and I'm about
Named
uh,
after King Charles, obviously.
obviously, yes. I'm a 3 mile walk to like the center of Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it feels like a
Again,
whole other world.
it is.
Okay.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Definitively is. Not no feeling. This is fact.
Yes,
MIT probably put that river in there to split the atom. They split the city.
they sure did.
They probably dropped it right in there, those people that like to split things.
Split things. And during the summer, they have regattas. You can watch, all the teams go out there and row. People
No,
are
no.
rowing. Huh?
For those of you who are listening online and watching, I will put the definition of regatta also. I don't even know what that word means.
Now you're just making me sound like a snob.
You have visited so many colleges, you've got to be the smartest person I know.
Perfect. Day Main.
Fact.
You're pretty smart, Joseph, so that makes me feel good.
If if I'm smart and I said that you're smart, then you must be super smart. Touch on a little bit more, Janelle, how you travel and get out as a single person. How do you navigate traveling? Do you bring friends with? Do you go by yourself? Are you the typical single person that's just couch surfing all over the world because you can? Do you get up and go? Like, where are you at with that?
I don't really like to go places by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, here, I think in my city, I'm up by myself a lot, which is fine. And I feel very comfortable with that. But when I go and do a shared experience, I always want to bring people with me because I feel like that's part of the experience is introducing other people to new things. So like, for example, when I went to Europe, one of the girls in my young adults group who was getting out of the military, we decided to go together and it was great. And also, being in a military community, I have a lot of friends that live all over the world, which has come in handy to have a crash landing, and for them to kind of give me some tips on being safe and what to do and how to get transportation and what those types of things.
Yeah.
So I love road trips. So I love, and I feel like that's a great opportunity to explore your area, and also just off the beaten path type places.
Janelle, it's been good to have you. Anything else you'd like to share that you thought, man, I would hope he asked me this or that, and I didn't because I was a bad host and couldn't read your mind?
No, this was fun. Like it makes me want to like go travel somewhere. I haven't traveled in a while. So this is, I mean, outside of the United States.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, this was episode 6 of Fellow Wanderers. And if you've made your way all the way to the end of this episode and you're hearing me talk right now and you're wondering why there was a lot of skips or cuts from this particular video, it's because, as you know, Janelle does work for Harvard. And we're not really sure she does or not, and could be some. She did give us some sensitive information high tech, high policy, high governmental information, and so we did have to splice a lot of this video out because we know that Zoom wasn't completely encrypted, and so we had to delete it. Our producers, when they got to this part of it, they had to delete a lot out. So, because she's pretty smart, and we think maybe she's involved with NATO. But either way, it was great to have Janelle, Ibaven. Say it for me one more time.
Ibaven.
I wasn't even close.
That's what most people from Wisconsin say.
That's like me saying Oregon. Oh, I got to get my act together. A better host would know these things. Maybe I'm going to talk to my director and give me a phonetic spelling of my guests' names that they book for me to do this. So thank you for wandering with us, Janelle from Boston. And if you want to get out and about, that's a great area of our world to get to. So when in doubt, wander, friends, and get out and go with somebody else. God bless, Janelle, and thank you.